This one's interesting. I have a little intro I shot outside. I may or may not add it in here, but here's what's interesting about this. This is shot at just normal exposure. The camera exposed this shot. Now, I posted pictures of snow from a few days ago and I got some interesting criticisms. I'm not going to say critiques, I got some interesting criticisms. I edited the photos and I put them up the way I liked them. And so the shadows, the shade from being out in the clouds and everything had some of the snow blue ish, had a bluish tint. And where the sun was hitting the snow, it was warm. It was more of a warm orange, if you will. And it was a shot that I enjoyed. I liked the way it turned out. I edited for the sky, I edited for the snow. And I had a couple people tell me, if you shoot snow, you need to overexpose by one stop. If you don't overexpose by one stop, it's going to be muddy. It's going to be dark. You're going to lose the image. It won't get those pearly whites. And the blue from the clouds and the shade, it's going to be muddy, which, set aside for the moment, I never have had blue mud ever. But let's talk about that for a second. So I took this shot. This shot is normal exposure. This is exposure compensation 0. I took 4 other shots. I took -1. I took +1. This is what they say I should expose to. I took -2. And I took +2. So the reason I did this was really to find out one very specific thing. I wanted to find out, do I need to shoot at +1? Or can I actually just adjust for it here in Lightroom? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, this is the +2. I'm going to take my +2 and I'm going to just go into my exposure and make it -1. Now let's look at this one and let's look at what it was when I overexposed by one stop. See the difference? I didn't think you did. So here's -2. Right, so the -2, very, very dark. So to get to +1, the way I was recommended I do it, I need to add 3 stops of exposure. So now here's +1 as shot. Here's -2 increased to +1. And here's +2 decreased to +1. What do you think? So let's go back to -1. We're going to add 2. So let's come in here to exposure and we're going to add 2. So that's from -1 to +1, -2 to +1. This is normally shot at +1, and then this is decreased from +2 to +1. So let's go back to as shot. Normal exposure, 0 additional compensation. That means we need to add 1 shot exposure to this. Let's do that. Let's do add 1. So here's normally shot +1, -1 +2. This is as shot increasing 1 exposure. This is -1 adding 2 to get it to 1 over. This is shot at +1. This is shot at -2, adding 3 stops to get it to +1. And then this final one, this is the +2, -1. So here's my point. All of this is to say, guys, I appreciate the insight. I appreciate the insight that you might want to make your exposure adjustments to bring out the whites. But here's the thing. Because I shoot raw, I can adjust for this after the fact. You're right. My JPEG will look all cloudy and dark and gloomy and it won't have what I want, but I shoot raw. And I can make those adjustments. Now, there's one other thing you might come in and critique me on. You might say, well, yeah, but if you look at 100%, what's it going to look like? Or let's go in at 200%. What have I lost? What have I gained? What's it look like? How's the difference? Well, that was the +2 down 1. This is the -2 adding 3. This is with no change. This is exposing it 1 over. And this is all at 200% in. This is -1 adding 2 to get to the +1. And this is your normal exposure adding 1. Now, I shot these handheld So there's a little bit of maybe some motion blur in there. And this isn't perhaps the spot that the focus was set to. Maybe if I come over here, it'll be a little more detail. The point is, I appreciate the feedback. Sometimes you don't like it because our artistic visions are different, and that's fine. That's fine. We can have different artistic visions. Not asking you to hang it on your wall. Hey, you know what, guys? I'm Steve Brady, Brady Photos, bradyphotos.com. Just wanted to kind of talk a bit about exposure settings in snow.